And I'm glad that you talked about Becky because that's exactly where I was going. You know, you guys are both trailblazers. You ended up working for Becky with the Aces. What was that relationship like for you to work with Becky, you know, in the NBA, now in the WNBA? And what was that moment kind of where you were with the Aces, and what was just that like?
It was, I would say, to be more personal, it was kind of like Becky was like an angel in disguise for me. It was, as I talked about my dad, it was my dad passed away the year before. So I was very fortunate to land in her hands. Like, she literally called me and she was like, hey, she's like, I would love for you to join my staff. But I didn't know Becky, right? Like, we're competitors. She was on the Spurs, I was with the Clippers. So we battled a lot in playoffs. So she was kind of like the enemy. And so being on the phone with her, I was like, how is this going to go? I've respected her from afar, but I always thought she was the enemy because we hated the Spurs. But just, we picked each other's brain. We went through both of like being a female in the NBA. So many similar stories, but the biggest question Becky asked me was, how are you doing as a person? And I like froze. I had to explain to her what was going on, and she just kind of gave me that space, and she was just like, Nat, she's like, you're going to be in good hands here. And she's like, I think we can make, really big waves in the W. And so, I didn't even hesitate after that when she asked me how I was doing as a person.
I'm sorry about your loss too. I've lost a parent, so I know what that pain feels like. And hearing you sort of say that about Becky and bringing that human element to it, I actually think that's what your best leaders in any industry, I think that's what your best leaders are able to do. So I think it's very fitting that you're a head coach now, and I imagine you try to bring that same brevity to your position as well, right? Because you're a leader.
Yeah, that's actually it's a great insight. Like, I think going through, I have to say it, but trauma, going through really, really tough times, I think kind of gives you a little bit more perspective about now the game of basketball is just the game of basketball. And there's so many more things in this world that people are going through, that people are struggling. But if we can make basketball as simple as possible in a place where we enjoy it, then I think it comes super light and super fun.
No doubt. That's well said. All right, let's go back to the beginning for the Aces. How did that job even sort of present itself? How did you transition from one thing to the next there?
So from the Clippers to the Aces?
Yes.
Is that what you mean? Yeah. So just Becky making that phone call. It was just literally like a call from an angel helping me in a tough situation. So, and another thing too, like, I love being in LA. I was there for 10 years under Vinny, Doc, and Tyronn Lue. And so, honestly, moving away from everything that I remember with my dad living in Southern California definitely helped me. Like, as I go back to, I apologize, but I'm literally talking about how I was feeling and how emotionally I needed to move. I needed to get out of all the memories that I saw, with my dad on every gym we went to, or, every gym. That's all we did. We just played basketball. But yeah, I just moving actually has really helped me, I think, mentally. So.
Yeah, and then, of course, before we move on to the Valkyries, we got to ask about that chip. What was it like winning a championship in the WNBA?
Yeah, so it's two, actually. I don't know if you guys...
we knew that, you didn't have to flex on us like that, okay? You didn't have to do us like that, all right?
I'm like, dude, okay. No, it was... the first year was a sigh of relief. Like, we were ranked 6th, I think, going in. Mm-hmm. And so I think us as a coach staff, me and Becky, were like, man, that's an insult. Like that we took that as obviously some internal motivation. But I just remember, again, for Becky herself, like, she's an amazing coach, even better person. I think that's why the buy-in was so quick, because she's just really authentic and she really cares about people. So the buy-in was quick. But also, I think Becky was kind of showing, like, look, I could coach. Mm-hmm. Y'all keep interviewing me here in the NBA. I can coach, and I learned so much from her. But what we really learned is like we worked our asses off that first year. Like again, all coaches not knowing the W, like we did it. I didn't even. Sorry to say, I love Asia Wilson, but I didn't know Asia Wilson. Like once you're in the NBA, you're just so like NBA, right? So learning the whole new league, a whole new system, a whole new way of the less games, quicker games. So it was just a sigh of relief. I remember we hugged each other and embraced each other because we worked so hard that first year. Just as I think people were thinking we were just coming here just to, just to coach. But no, we were there to show like we could coach. So.
And I know you don't have a checklist, but this is another one of those first, Coach, where you become the first Asian American to win a WNBA title. And clearly in the moment, you're focused on the job you need to do to get those championships. But now that you kind of sit back, you're at a new place, you have a new opportunity, and you can reflect on things like this. Can you speak to us about what it means to you and what kind of weight that holds and how you inspire people?
No, not really. Because I think the minute you start thinking and settling so much, I think that's when the opponents start to like gain traction. I just think in sports, when you constantly want to win, that you don't get time to sit here and reflect. And I think the parade itself, I'll say the two parades to me was like the greatest time I got to celebrate. But once I was done with the parade, I was like, let's go. What's next? So once I took this job, I was like, okay, I got to hire my staff, but I also got to create, the best team possible for us to win. And so to be honest, you don't sit and reflect a lot. And when you do, other people are going to be outworking you. So you might start working.
And look, that's why we love you, Coach, and that's why the Valkyries must have loved you too. Can you just talk to us a little bit how that opportunity ended up presenting yourself, now getting the opportunity to be the first head coach of the Golden State Valkyries?
Yes, so our GM, Ohema, we go back about 7 years. Met her at a women's conference in the NBA and had lunch with her. Just connected. And when you meet somebody for the first time and they really make you feel like they're your best friend, she did that within an hour. And so we only really did that another time. She was an assistant GM with New York Liberty when I was with the Aces. And so we probably did it one more time. We would text back and forth about any random thing. And then when she got the job, she hit me and she was like, is this something you want to do? And I'm like, are you for real? Like I was shocked. But at the same time, big thing that Doc Rivers, Tyronn Lue taught me was like loyalty. So the minute I got the call, I was conflicted. I was like, wow, what a great opportunity. But at the same time, I'm with the Las Vegas Aces trying to go for chip number 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Two.
You already got 2. Right. So you try to get number 3. I got you. Yeah. 100%.
Just bring it up one more time. We were going for chip 3, and so I in any way, like I wanted to stay loyal with for Becky and the Aces, and so conflicted, but at the same time, obviously, it worked out, and here I am.
That's really cool, your relationship with your GM. I actually know that feeling. The first time Ante and I met, I felt like we were BFFs immediately. Now, I think he may just feel sorry for me, and that's why we're tight. But we're tight nonetheless, Coach, so I'll take it. Your owner, Joe Lacob, talked about how the Valkyries present sort of a unique challenge because it's a lot like a startup business. I mean, do you see it that way as well? An expansion team, it's always very difficult to kind of get off the ground. So I understood his theory and where he was going there. Can you talk to us about the challenges that presents itself for you in your position as a first head coach?
Yeah, I think instead of like hearing the word challenge, I think it's always good to say, hey, well, at least you get an opportunity. Like I have an opportunity, to be in this seat. I mean, there's probably a million other candidates that are just as qualified, but they chose me, and so I'm taking on his challenge. But what he did say in my press conference was, I have to win in 5 years. So I don't know if you guys heard that. He said it multiple times. He
No
said it in my
pressure.
interview.
No pressure.
He said it in my interview. Right. But instead of pressure, it's like, hey, that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, to me, Joe Lacob is one of the best owners in sports. How he has won 4 championships under his ownership with the Warriors. I mean, that shows a lot to me. The way he talks, the way he works, the way he pushes himself. I knew I was going to be in good hands because he's going to also just provide me with the resources that we can get there. So it wasn't like, okay, hey, here you go, like try to win 5. It's like, well, what do you need? So I think that's a completely different, situation where like he's actually setting me up for success. So instead of feeling the pressure, I'm like, no, Joe is going to set me up for success. And now how can I, be the best version, as a head coach in this space to make sure we get our goals.